All right, hey there. We are going to be looking at Meta's new podcasting software, which they've made open source. Meta, known as Facebook, yo. So, if you know it all, Google LLM, that's the software where you can actually throw in a PDF and it parses it, and then it creates voices that actually are talking about the content of the PDF, which is really cool. We've also done a similar thing with F5 TTS. Has a podcasting thing that we've been able to. You're able to throw in some information, and it goes out to a LLM, brings back a transcript. So a very similar process. This is the thing that's kind of popular these days. So we're going to actually go through the installation, and this is actually going to be using something called a Jupyter Notebook. So it's a little bit different than just using our Gradio app. I'm going to walk you through that. There are errors that Meta made, oh may it never be so, in the code, so we're going to have to fix those on the fly. So hang in there. We're going to get through that. In the meanwhile, we got a little bit of a co-worker here going to work with us today. So she's going to sit here with us. We just put her right here. And she's going to be grunting in the background while we work. So you're going to stay there. So if you, before we move forward though, please do like and share the channel. We're really getting up there. It's very exciting to see this happen, and you guys have been part of that. So so pat yourselves on the back and give yourself a good old handshake, because it's all built on you guys and you guys paying attention and loving this stuff, which I do. I love this stuff. So anyway, thank you for sharing that information. And you can also support if you want to. You can buy a super sticker and put $1 in my pocket, which helps. Also, we've started a merch store, which is a little bit wonky at the moment, but there's stuff out there, and the bottom line is we're growing and you're growing with us. So excited stuff. But let's get on to Meta's LLM recipes podcast stuff. All right, so as usual, we are going to pop on over to our browser over here, and we are going to find this page. And to find this, what we're going to do is we're just going to type in Llama recipes. That's what they're calling it. It's kind of a silly name, but Llama recipes, and we're just typing GitHub. Now it's going to bring up a couple different ones. Let's try this one here. We're going to be looking for this is the one we're looking for. Okay, we want the one with this. Now it does have another one with a different installation on it, but that's not the one we want. It all kind of does the same thing, but we're going to work with this one. So let's go read through this really quickly. So guided series tutorials and notebooks. So this is going to be using something called a Jupyter Lab, which if you ever took a science class, you know how like they'll have you do the experiments, and they have it set up in a way that you do everything in a very particular manner that you get the same results every time. So a Jupyter Lab is like that. It's set up so that they can control the process to make sure that you get the same results. And so there's a little bit more of stuff we got to go through to get that, but we're going to get through it. But let's go look at the steps here. We got step one. We're going to pre-process the PDF. So essentially what it's going to do is we're going to throw in the PDF. It's going to take it and just get some basic information out of it. Essentially what this is doing is it's layering it through 4 steps. Okay, instead of just throwing it out there, getting something back, it's going to throw something, get something back, throw it back in. It's going to do that 3-4 times. Now, notice it's going to be using Llama 3.2, and notice it's only using the 1 billion parameter one. So this is just, again, it's the pre-processing. So we're going to have to download that, and we're actually going to need to go on to Hugging Face and make sure that we have access to it, okay? Because these are what are called gated repositories. In other words, they let us use them, but they want just to like sign our name, give them their email, that kind of stuff, essentially so that they can kind of keep data on who's using it for what. Okay, so next, notice it's going to go to the actual writing thing. Okay, the part where it's actually going to take the words, throw it in there, and say, hey, give us back a meaningful podcast. Now, notice this one's going to be using the 70 billion. We are not going to use that because it will kill your machine. Okay, you won't be able to run this. Okay, I have about the highest end you can get on a single GPU. Um, and the highest that I can go on a chatbot, a model, is comfortably, without having to quantize it, about 11 billion, maybe 13. I can get up to 30 billion if I quantize it down to a Q5. So just really quickly, quantizing means, like, let's say I got a number, it's this long, and it's got a bunch of decimals, let's say, and I cut off a bunch of those decimals. It's still the same number, it's just not as precise. Okay, and so that's what a quantize is. So I can run with my machine a 30 billion if it's quantized down fairly heavily, but a 70 billion is out of our range. So we're going to actually change this to an 8 billion. Because this is open source, the way that they've created this, it's going to be actually possible once we get this going. You could plug this into Open Router, which I love doing. I love throwing stuff into Open Router because you get a 405 billion parameter bot you can use for free. So that would blow away the 70 billion. But for this project, we're going to go ahead and use the 8 billion. Now it's going to go down to the dramatic rewriter. So after it gets the basic transcript, essentially what it's going to do is throw it back in there and say, add, flourishment to it, add some words, make it seem a little bit better. Okay, and it's going to use the 8 billion for that. Then it's going to go down here. We'll throw it last in there, and it's going to actually take the text that we wrote and it's going to turn it into words, and it's going to be using Parler and Bark. Now, Bark is the company, they're the product behind Suno. So if you know Suno, that's where all the music's coming out of, that kind of stuff. So we're going to walk through these steps. You can, again, read up more on it. And you're going to see them down here, Notebook 1, Notebook 2, Notebook 3, and 4. That's going to make a lot more sense once we get into the Jupyter Lab, which we will be first doing. Okay, so before we do this, let's go ahead and make sure that we've got access to these models. Hey, you need to stop that. So let's highlight this, and we're going to copy it. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we're going to just copy this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Hugging Face. .co. Okay. And of course, this is our web page where we get models from. This is where they store data sets, all this stuff. So we're just going to go ahead, paste in Llama 3.21b, and it's going to bring up this one from Meta Llama. You're going to see it there. So we're going to click that. Now, notice it says gated model. Mine says I've been granted access to this model. So if you haven't done this before, it's going to say that you have to actually ask for permission. So all you're going to do is you're going to click on it. It's going to ask you for some basic information, and then you're just going to have to wait like 5 to 10 minutes, and then they'll email you back with permission. Then when you come back here, it's going to have this. Now, going back to our other page, you're going to see we also need to get hold of Llama 3.1. So we're going to copy that, and then we'll go back here and do the same thing. Just paste it into here. It'll show up. We click it, and it's going to be the same thing. So you're going to have to sign up to get permission for it. Okay, so once you do that, this will all work. Now you're going to end up needing an API key. So let me show you really quickly how you get that. Stop that. Hold on. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to get this token because we're going to need it later. So click up here. You're going to have to log in and get an account. Then once you log in, you're going to click on settings. Okay. Then you're going to go over here, and it's going to say access tokens. You click there. You're going to click create a new token. Okay, and then it's going to say here, you're just going to give it a name. We could call it our recipes. And then down here it says read access to contents of all public gated. You're just going to have to click that. Okay, and then you go down here to create token, and it's going to create this. Now you're only going to be able to see this once. So go ahead and copy it and put this into a file on your desktop. Just go ahead, create a, go to do something like this. Just go to your desktop, right click, go new, text document, and we'll just type API key, and then just hit Control V and save it. Okay, hit Control S, save it, because you're going to need that later. Okay, and you can only see it once. If you do lose it, okay, what you can do is you can go back in here and click on this button and invalidate and refresh it. But when you do that, that means that if you've been using it in any other apps, that it's going to give you new code, but those old codes won't be any good anymore. So just be careful when you do that. Also, I'm going to go ahead and delete this because I don't want you using my API key. Keep those secret, okay? People can mess you up getting a hold of your keys. So those are meant to be private. But now we're all ready to go. So let's go back over here. We've gone ahead, we've signed up for 3.2, we signed up for Llama 3.1. We're not going to use this 70B. We're just going to go ahead and use the 3.1 8B as well. So we're going good. So now we're going to get to the actual installation. Okay, so notice it's going to have us git clone the repo. That's pretty normal stuff. Okay, we're going to cd deep into this folder. So the file structure of this is pretty wild. So we'll have to, just have to get in there a bit. Why is this camera acting all funky here? Hold on. There we go, funky monkey. All right, and then it's going to have us do some pip install. But now, what you're going to notice here is there's no mention of virtual environment. So we're going to have to make sure we create our virtual environment. We're going to need to install our CUDA toolkit because we're running NVIDIA. And we're going to have to make sure that we install the correct Torch version as well. So let's go ahead and get this going. We're going to highlight this because we're going to git clone it. Now, what you want to do is you want to find yourself the folder that you want to install this into. So I'm going to go over to my command prompt, and where is that window? There it is. Okay, let's make this a little smaller. All right, so I'm going to put mine in a folder called audio. Okay, if you want to do a similar thing, what you can do is go like this. Just find your way to whatever drive, and you type mkdir audio. Okay, and that will create a directory called audio. Then you would type cd, which means change directory, and you type audio. Yo, okay, you're in there. Now, I'm going to hit Control V, and what we're going to do is git clone that repo. So it's going to get us all the files that we need. And it's going to create a folder called Llama recipes. Okay, so whenever you're git cloning something, it will make a directory of what's at the very end here. So this app, basically, you need to make sure you have Git installed. Git is the app, so we're loading the app called Git. Then we're giving it a command. We're saying we want you to clone something, and what do we want you to clone? This directory that's found at this URL. So we're going to go ahead and enter. It downloads like this, burp, just like that. Actually, it's exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Bunch of Keebler elves back there doing that. All right, so now watch. If I type dir, I've got some other stuff in here, but you're going to see it created a folder called Llama recipes. So we're going to go ahead, go back to our browser, because we're going to have to drill into this pretty hard. So you'll notice here, cd, that means change directory. It's going to have us go into the Llama recipes, but then it's going to have to go into another folder called recipes, then another one called quick start, and then another one called notebook Llama. So we could do that all by hand, but let's just go ahead and copy it. And that is going to save us a little bit of keystroke. So let's just type cd, and then we're going to, we don't have to hit cd. We're just going to hit Control V, and it's going to change us directly into that folder. Now I'm going to go ahead and type CLS just to clear the screen. That's what that does. Okay, and now if we go back to our browser, we're going to see that it wants us to install the requirements. But we don't want to install the requirements yet. We need to first create our virtual environment. Okay, so that keeps our system from getting files on our base system. So it's like if we're having the kids, or you got like messy kids, and you give them French fries and ketchup, and what you do before you put them at the table is you put down a a thing over the table. So they can make as big a mess as they want. It's not going to get on the table. So that's the same thing here. When we're installing software, we want to make sure we put something over our system. So no matter what we do, it's not going to affect our base system. Now, there's a couple different ones we can use. We can use mini conda or Python. I'm going to go ahead for this project. We're going to go ahead and use conda. Now with Python, it's nice because it just creates a folder and you can get there. But because we're so drilled in here, I don't know. I don't really want to have to type out this command a lot. So we're just going to use a nice conda environment because you can use it from anywhere. If we're using the Python virtual environment, we'd actually have to be in the folder. With conda, you can call it from anywhere. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to type conda. That's the name of the program. Then we're going to type create. What we want it to do is create something, and then we're going to pass it a parameter. We're going to say, okay, well, you need to create a virtual environment. -m says, here's the name that you're going to call it, and we're just going to call it Llama recipes. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it meta, you could call it my greatest environment that has ever existed in the whole history of the world, and it'll create it. But you're going to have to type that in every time. So do something you remember, and isn't that difficult. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit -y, and that's just going to make it so it doesn't prompt me to create it. Now, I think I might have already made this, but let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, so it hadn't. So it creates it. So we have gone ahead and created our virtual environment. So now what we're going to do is we're going to type conda again. We're calling the app. What do we want conda to do? We want it to activate our virtual environment, and we need to tell it which one. So the one we just created, Llama recipes. Okay, now you'll notice that you've got your file. See, this is where we're at. Here we are. But now over here, we're in a virtual environment. Okay, now whatever we install, it's going to go into this environment instead of our base system. So I'm going to type CLS to clear the screen. We are in our virtual environment. Good job. Now, before we install our requirements again, if we're running NVIDIA, we have to install our CUDA toolkit. Now, when we get NVIDIA, we install our drivers, and those are called our CUDA drivers, so that the thing works with the system. But when we're running apps, we need something that connects to those drivers. Okay, so the drivers are there, but we have to access them. So that's where we use what's called the CUDA toolkit. So we're going to install it this way. We're going to type conda. So again, we're calling the conda app. But what do we want it to do? We want it to install something. Okay, what do we want to install? Well, I'm going to put a -C because I want it to install something out of a catalog. So if I'm buying something from Amazon, I get the Amazon catalog, and I can see all the products that Amazon has. It's a specific catalog. So what we want to see is the NVIDIA catalog. Now, when we're flipping through there, we say, oh, here's the product I want. I want the CUDA toolkit. Now, if we were buying Nike shoes on Amazon, we wouldn't just say, I want to buy Nike shoes. We would say, I want the green ones, or I want the Air Jordans with the whatevers, you know. And so in the same way, we're getting the CUDA toolkit, but we want the 11.8 version. I'm going to go ahead and hit a -y again. And what that does is, again, it just skips the prompt, so I don't have to hit the Y later. We know we're in the virtual environment, so it's going to install it there. And we just going to hit enter. Okay, so it's going to go through here, and it installs it. Easy peasy. Okay, now we can head over to our browser, and we're going to go ahead and grab this pip install. So we're just going to highlight that, hit Control-C to copy it, go back to the command prompt. Now we're going to hit Control-V. So pip is our Python package installer. It does similar to what conda just did with that conda install. It's just a different method of installing stuff. Sometimes you have to install stuff with conda. Sometimes you got to install stuff with Python, with the pip. So it's the Python package installer. Okay. So we're going to type pip, and then what do we want pip to do? We want it to install. What do we want to install? Well, we want it to read from a file. So we're going to put -R, which means read, and we're going to say read this file called requirements.txt. Okay, cool. We're going to hit enter, and it's going to go through that file, and it's going to install everything that was in there. Okay, now, I knew this was going to happen, but notice there was an error, and it didn't really do much. It said, error could not find a version that satisfies the requirement warnings. So here's how you would fix this, okay? Well, here's how you'd find out what to do. Let's say you, you highlight a bunch of this, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to just go back to our browser, and we're going to rock on over to Chat GPT, and we're just going to go ahead and paste that in there, okay? We're going to hit enter, and note it's going to say, the error message indicates that pip is unable to find a package named warnings. So it basically just says remove the line that specifies warnings. Okay, so there's our answer, all right? So the reason I showed you this is because ChatGPT is your best friend when you running into problems. So let's go back to our command prompt. Okay, now we need to get into this requirements.txt file. If we type dir, you can see that there it is right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to type notepad requirements.txt. And what this is going to do is it's going to open up our notepad app. Let me go ahead and do this. Okay, that's really big. Hold on just a second. This app is so funny. If you change your window sizes at all, it screws everything up. Okay, so we'll just put that there. Now, notice it said you want to create a new file. Say no. So I must have typed that wrong. So let's go back. We've got some other stuff I was working. Let's close that all out. Let's go back here and make sure. Oh, we can see here under command prompt that I spelt it wrong. So I'm going to hit the up arrow. Whoops, not that one. I'm going to hit the up arrow here. I'm going to go back and fix this. Notepad requirements, requirem. Okay, now if we go back over here, it's going to pop up this. So here's where the warnings thing was. It didn't like that, so let's just get rid of that. Okay, and let's delete it. Now I also want to point out here, look at the torch that it's having us install. It's not with CUDA, so we're going to actually have to install the correct torch after this is done. But let's go ahead. We've deleted the problem thing there. For this case, we wouldn't need it. Usually if there's a dependency, like say the torch wasn't working, the software's not going to work if you delete torch. But with this warning thing, it's fine. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Then I can just close that out, and we're going to go back to our command prompt. Now if I hit the up arrow a couple times, we're going to go back to where we had pip install -r requirements. Now, noting that we're still in our virtual environment, I can hit that, and it's going to go and start installing everything. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm not sure why I did this. I did make some changes on my system. So let's go ahead, copy this, and let's go back over to, I probably have to upgrade my pip, but let's go ahead and throw it into ChatGPT. It didn't cause this problem before, so I'm a little bit curious as to what's going on. And it might be a network issue, so hold on just a second. Okay, and the issue was a network issue. My internet went out for some reason. But now it's back, and notice the error is gone. So what happened there was it couldn't download the package. And our hint, I'm going to scroll up here. Our hint was all this where it was saying retry, connection error. So even though I threw that into ChatGPT after I thought about it for a second, realized that's not what's going on. Okay, so it's installing all this stuff. Notice it's installing all this Jupyter Lab stuff. This is going to be the notebook stuff that we're using. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this again and let this install, and we'll be right back. Okay, so that has finished installing. But now remember, we need to go get the correct version of Torch. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to our browser, and we're going to go up here, and we're going to type Torch previous version, and it's going to bring up this thing, previous PyTorch versions. Now if you remember, it said that the one it was installing was version 2.0, So we'll just go ahead with that. We're going to scroll down here. You'll see these numbers, 2.0.1, 2.0.0. So we're going down here to CUDA 11.8. That's what I'm assuming we're using. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy this whole thing here, but we're going to end up deleting some of it because we don't need the Torch Vision or the Torch Audio. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and install Torch Audio anyways because I have a feeling we're going to need it later. But let's go back to our command prompt and paste this in. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a couple different things here, guys. Show you. We'll leave Torch Audio. We're going to delete Torch Vision. We don't need it. Okay. Oh, and did I grab? You know what? Let's go back here actually again and grab a different command. I'm going to grab the pip version here. I'd rather install it with pip. Guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm just used to doing it. It's a little bit simpler. Let's highlight this one. It doesn't really matter, just kind of the commands. But let's go back at the pip one. I'm going to go back here, hit escape. Now I'm going to hit Control V. And I'm going to do a few things. Now let's, again, go back here, delete Torch Vision. Okay. Now what this is doing, it says pip. That's our packet. Oh, whoops. So what we did is we pasted this in here. And then I used the arrow keys to move here, and I deleted Torch Vision. It was like right here. Okay, so then I was showing you that pip is our package installer. We're installing Torch version 2.0, Torch Audio 2.1, and then we're using this thing, this dash index URL. That's a parameter. So we're saying we want to install it not just from anywhere, but from a very particular place, this place. So in other words, that's our CUDA thing. But what we're going to do is we're going to add one other thing. We're going to go space -- force. And what that does is it forces it to actually reinstall. So a lot of times what will happen is it'll install the wrong torch, the torch that we don't need. And then when we do get the right one, we'll say, hey, install Torch, but install it from this place. And the system will go, oh, well, I've already got Torch downloaded on the system. I'll just use the one I already downloaded. But it's the wrong torch. So by typing -- force, it's saying go there and actually redo it. I don't care. Like it goes, but boss, I've already. Nah, I don't care. But I'm telling you, nah, I'm forcing you. Just go redo it. Redo the whole thing, and that's what it's doing. So it's going to download that again. It's going to install it, and then we will know perfectly that we have the correct stuff installed. Okay. Now we can, while this is downloading, we can go back over to our browser, to our things, and we're going to see that once this is done, we're done. Okay, so then we're going to rock into using our notebooks. Okay, and it's going to be a little bit of a different experience for you if you haven't done this. And there are some steps, like I said. Meta made some errors in their code, so there's going to be some. We're going to run stuff. We're going to get errors, and I'm going to have to show you. We're going to copy and paste stuff, and we're going to throw it into ChatGPT so that it'll fix the errors for us. Okay, I will probably create a. I'll probably have these files, the fixed files, available somewhere for you, but we're still going to do it together. Okay, so let's go back to our command prompt. We can see that it is done. Okay, we've installed CUDA Toolkit. We've installed the correct torch. We have everything going here. Now, if we type directory, we're going to see we've got this step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Notice they end with .ipynb. Okay, that is the Jupyter notebook. Okay, my eye is itching. So what we're going to do now is it installed Jupyter for us. So we're just going to type this Jupyter, but with a Y, and we're going to type the word lab. Okay, that's going to load up, and then what it does is it pops up a browser window like this. Okay, now notice we have all these different things here. This is the notebook. If we click over here, it's the next notebook, so forth and so forth. Okay, if we ever need to reset it, you've got this little restart the kernel. You can click that and restart it. But essentially what this does is they're able to give us instructions to read, and then it runs the code for us. Okay, so this is the first one we want to do. So in this series, we're going from a PDF to podcast using all open models, okay? So it tells us what it's going to do. Now, it's got instructions here, but it's got it commented out. These don't really matter. Before we run this, though, we want to look at the code. Now, notice the PDF it's using is in a folder called resources, and the name of the file is 2402.13164. Now, if we look over here, you're going to see, oh, well, hey, there's a folder called resources. And under there is the file. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get our own PDF to put in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to our File Explorer. We're going to grab a PDF and we'll throw it in there. So what we want to do is go into our File Explorer. I'm going to grab this, my lyric textbook, my songbook, and I'm just going to hit Control C. I'm going to copy it. Then what we got to do is we need to drill down to where we actually have that folder. So we go to where we installed it, Llama recipes. Then we click on recipes, quick start, notebook Llama, and then resources. Okay, now I'm just going to paste that into there so you can see that it's there. Now going back to my browser, we can see that it actually updated it here. So what I'm going to do is now go over here and I want to change the PDF path. We want to change it from that to what this is. So actually I'm going to rename this, make it easier. I want to get rid of all spaces. So I just right clicked on that. I clicked rename. And I'll just put dashes. Spaces are nice for visual stuff. They're not good when you're programming. So I'm going to go ahead and just Control A to get that whole thing. I'm going to copy it. Okay. So I changed the name, I copied it. Now I'm going to go back over to here. I'm going to highlight this, and I'm just going to hit Control V. Okay, so now it's going to use my document instead of the other. Notice it's going to be using Llama 3.21b. So make sure that you have had your gated repository. But really quickly, I need to show you how to make sure you have your API key in here. So before we move forward, we're going to move back to our command prompt. We're going to actually just need to open up a new command prompt because this one's being used up by Jupyter Labs. So let's just go over here. It doesn't matter where you are. Okay. And whoops, I'm going to hit CD / just get myself out of the system 32. I don't need to be there. Okay. Okay. So we need to install something called Hugging Face CLI, command line interface, so that we can interact with the website. So you're going to just go ahead and type PIP. We're going to go here and type PIP. So pip, that's our package installer. Install, we're going to install a package called Hugging Face. And then we're going to go -hub. Okay. But now here's something we're going to do. Put a bracket CLI. Okay. Hit enter. What it's going to do is it's going to install Hugging Face so we can use it from the browser. Now if we type Hugging Face -login. Okay. Oh, whoops, I spelled it wrong. Hug Face. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, and then what we're going to go ahead and do is type Hugging Face -CLI login. Oh, yeah, dang it. We're on the wrong screen. Sorry. Oh, damn it. There we go. Okay, so we're going to type Hugging Face.CLI -login. Okay. I forgot to put the G. So I'm going to press the up arrow. Well, I'm feeling a little sniffy. Okay. Now notice it's going to bring this up here. So now what you need to do is go over, get your API key, okay? And then you just go over here and you're going to right click it. Now it's not going to show up. You're not going to see it. It's like faith, okay? You're going to click it, it's there, but you can't necessarily see it. So then you press enter and it's going to go ahead and say that it's logged in. Now you will have access to your Llama models. As long as you've gotten the email back from Meta saying that you've been granted, that you put your API key in there, you're going to be fine. So you just right click it, it will install, and then it will be Good. So now we're going to head back to our browser because we're going to now run through this. So this is how this works. So we go to each section and all we got to do is press this play button. Okay. And it moves us through each segment. So this is all code that it's running. And we download it on our computer, so it's running it on our computer. So this is all Python. We're just going to click it. Let's make sure don't server checking if the file exists. So it's going to check to make sure the file that we put in there exists. If it doesn't, we get an error. Okay, so we're just press play. This doesn't actually do anything, but we just click it just to move through. Okay, now this is a function. That's what that DEF means. So it's actually setting up code that we're going to use later. Same thing, it's setting up a function. A function is basically like a little machine. Say like, I'm going to need to be able to do something. So here is the code that does it. And then later on we can call that code and say, hey, remember that thing that we set up over here? We're going to need that. Now it's going to actually get into some commands. So now it's actually going to have it do some stuff, print and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to go ahead and hit this. Now we're going to sit here for a second. One of the things that happens is we'll just sit here and click through this and we'll go through it thinking we're going through it fast, but what's actually happening is there's stuff going on in the background. So like if we check over on our command prompt, we can actually see that stuff is moving. Okay, so that tells us that actually something's happening. Okay, so let's go back over to our browser and we will just wait here for just a second. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go back to command prompt. Notice I keep getting the same errors here. Okay. Oops, we're in the wrong thing here. Hold on just a sec. I just keep getting the same error over and over and over again. So what we did, okay, is went ahead and, gosh, man, these stupid windows. Okay, went ahead and just copied a whole bunch of it just to get a good swath of it. Okay, and then I press Control C. Then we're going back to our browser, and we just went over to Claude. Claude's really good with this kind of stuff. Throw it in there, and it says the error because it's blocking cross-origin resource sharing. So launch it with using this. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to copy this. This might not have happened with you. If it does happen with you, this is how you're going to fix it, okay? We're going to copy this. Then we're going to go back to our command prompt. Now, we're going to have to exit out of this. So I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to hit a bunch of times, okay? So it's going to bring us here. Now, the nice thing is we're still in our virtual environment. We're still where we need to be. So last time we just typed Jupyter Lab. This time we're going to go ahead and use what it said, Jupyter Lab, and then it's giving us this parameter to run. So we're going to go ahead, reload it, okay? And then it's going to go ahead, pop this back up. So I'll go and I'm going to close out Claude, and we'll just close out this one we were working on. Okay, so now if we highlight this, it's going to still have it. So let's click it, open it back up. Notice our file stuff is still here. So now we're just going to go through this again. Whoops. So let's just hit the play. So it's again, it's all this def just creating functions. Now it's going to get to actually doing some stuff. Now we're going to click here, and this actually there. Now see, it actually did something. So if you're sitting there so long, you check your command prompt. The key that you learn from there is how to troubleshoot. So you highlight it, throw it into Claude. Claude helps us. Chatbots are your greatest friend. So look, it's getting all of this text out of there. Okay, it's getting ready to go. Okay, so now we're to the pre-processing. We're going to hit play. That doesn't do anything. Now it's setting up our CUDA. And this is our system prompt. So it's now it's going to talk to the chatbot. And it says, I'm going to send you in all this information, and it's priming it. It says, you are world-class text preprocessor. This is like if you're talking to a chatbot and said, you're a Valley Girl pirate, and you say arg. You know, so it's doing the same thing here. It's setting it up to create a podcast. This is the exact same thing that we do with F5 TTS. This actually really is not that sophisticated I mean, it's sophisticated and that's awesome, but it's actually really not that difficult. Okay, you can go in here and change this however you want. You could say make sure that it says "okay" after every sentence if you want, or whatever. Have it speak in double Dutch, whatever you want to do. This is where you're basically starting to program it. So we're going to go ahead and hit play there. Going down here, we can see that def. That means we're creating another function. So nothing's really going to happen here. It's just setting up. Now it's going to load in the model. This is where you're going to download stuff. So this part will take a little bit longer. We're going to hit play. I think mine's already downloaded. But at this point, if you don't have it downloaded, bars are going to come up down here and you'll see them installing. Okay. And it will take a while because they're big models. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, again, that was just setting up a function. Okay, so this is the input file. Now we're going to have some problems here, I believe, that we're going to have to fix. So we're going to hit play. Okay, yep. Now, this is where Meta messed up their code. So notice also it says text is not defined. They blew a variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, okay, and then we're going to go back to our chat GPT and we're going to say I got this error in a Jupyter Lab, please fix it, okay. Let's say here's the code, and I'm going to put a colon there that just helps the chatbot to know what we're talking about. And I usually like to put some dashes just to help it differentiate. And I'll say, here's the error. Okay, now let's go back. And we'll copy the error. Go back to our chat GPT. And it's going to fix it for us. So we'll just wait for it, and it says, go ahead and change it like this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and copy this stuff. Okay, or you can hit the copy code. Then we're going to go back to our Jupyter Lab, highlight this, and just paste it in. Okay, that's going to fix it. Now if we press play, it made it through it. But now look at it, caught another error. No such file directory, resources, extracted text.txt. So it found the stuff, but now it's not finding this file. Now, again, here's an error. Notice that extracted text.txt is not in the resources thing. It's actually here in our main directory, okay? So it screwed it up. So what we can do is we can just get rid of this. Let's just get rid of the resources. Oh, whoops, we got to do it up here. Okay, and so now it's not going to go look in this other folder. It's going to grab it from right here. So now if we press play, there, it found it. Okay, so it was Meta made mistakes. Okay, Lord bless their weaselly little hearts. No, I'm just kidding. They're great. They gave us great stuff. They're eggheads. They just made a mistake. Okay, so it's gone ahead and done it. We changed the code. We're going to move forward. Okay, we're going to hit this. Now we're going to go through here. Okay, now check it out. We got another error. What do we got going here? Okay, that's a pretty big error. Let's go run this again and make sure that, oh, see, we went a little too fast is what happened. So let's, I think, let's go back here. Let's start over again. Let's go that. Okay, well, let's do the same thing. We're going to go and highlight this whole damn error. Oh, good Lord. So let's... that's frustrating. Okay, hold on. I'm going to highlight it. Okay, we're going to copy it. And then we're going to go back to GPT and say, I got this error And I'm going to put a colon there to help differentiate it. I'm going to say from this code. Then we'll go back. Now let's go get the code that caused the error. Actually might be this. Let's copy it. Let's copy both. Let's copy all of this. So I'm going to go that, and then I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to grab this. And let's see what GPT has to say. All right, so it wants us to change a few things. So ensure that both the inputs of models are consistently filled by converting input tensors if needed. Set token head for consistency. So where does it? Let's grab this. Let's see where that goes. Let's ask it. We'll say, where does this code go? Oh, no, we don't want to do that. So hold on. Okay, all we ended up doing was adding this line right here. Model equals model.to torch float 32. So it didn't like the chunk sizes we're using. So I tried throwing it into GPT and it was confusing. It would have confused you. So just know that you need to add this. So type in model equals model dot to torch float 32. Okay. Then that goes ahead and fixes that. Now look at this. We're down to another error. I'm telling you, this is really buggy. So now it says name process text is not defined. So, okay. So we got to go up in here. Let's find out where it's talking about. It's talking about this bit of code. So now let's go back to ChatGPT. So while ChatGPT is our friend, it sometimes messes up, and so it helps to know when it's messing up. Say this code. This time I'm just going to use brackets. It makes it a little bit easier. That just again, the brackets just help GPT to say, oh, okay, it must everything inside of there. I'm going to say got this error. So it almost worked, but the same thing, just like remember with that last one, it had that text thing that it didn't fix. So we're going to put this in here. And it's just going to tell us how to rewrite it. So, all right, so we'll just copy this code, go back to here, and we'll put that in there. Notice it added the process text. We can save it now if we hit play. It's going to go through there. So there it's going through all of my lyrics. Just going to do this for a while. It really is a shame that they throw out errored stuff, but obviously they don't know, but someone needs to let them know. I don't know how to tell them, but okay, so it's still printing it out. When it's done, it'll shoot down to here. So this is a fairly big file. So I'm gonna go, I guess I'll pause it. Otherwise I'd just go and torture you with making you listen to the actual music. So I'll show you some mercy. Although it's very good music, you should check it out. I'm on Spotify. You can look me up, Jim Day and the Better Stories. Great music, but I ain't gonna make you listen to it. So let's go ahead and pause it, and we'll be back when this is done. Okay, so we're gonna see here that processing the chunks is done. So we'll just go ahead and move on to the next part. And now it's going to print it out. And then we are done. All right. Good job. We made it through the first notebook. And now it's time for the second notebook. Okay, so what we're going to do here now is let's stretch this out. We're going to click on step 2. It's going to bring us up to our next step. Now, I want you to notice this notebook uses the Llama 3.170B. No, you will kill your computer if you try to do this. You will be here for 8 years and it will fail. So before we do anything, we're going to scroll down in the code and we're going to find here it says model equals 3.170B. We're just going to throw it out. We're going to put 8B. Now, maybe we're not going to get as good a quality stuff. It's fine. It's not a big deal. We're practicing. And again, this is open source. Guys, you take this and you can throw it into ChatGPT and use Open Router. Okay, I need to do a whole video on Open Router, but Open Router is great. You can get big models that you can pay for just as you use, or you get a bunch of free stuff. I'm a cheapskate. I love the free stuff, and there's a 405 billion parameter model that's GPT size. Okay, that you can access for free. Okay, it's very cool. I use it for my Discord bots. Okay. But for now, we're just going to use the 8B. Okay, so make sure we change that or else it will download the 70B. It'll take up all your disk drive space and it won't work. So we're just going to scroll through there. Let's do another search. We're going to press Control F for find and let's just type 70 in here just to make sure there's no other places that does. So I'm pressing enter. There's only 101, so we're fine. I'm going to close this out. So let's go through here. It says it's going to set the system prompt again. It's going to load the models, and I believe it's going to go ahead and use the files that it saved. All this extracted text, clean text. There's our clean extracted. I bet we're going to have to change this. So actually, let's under resources. There's a clean extracted. That's an old one. That's not the one that we did. Let's do some preemptive striking here. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this, click rename, and I'm just going to hit Control A so I can select it all. I'm going to hit Control C. Then I'm going to go back over here and let's hit Control F and paste this in here. Okay, yes. So look at that. This is an error. Let's get rid of the resources because the clean extracted text that we need is not in the resources thing. So let's actually watch this. If I right click on this and we just say, let's just open it. Okay, I can see this is all my words. There's Coeur d'Alene, smoothing out the corners. You left me crying in Calgary. Great music, by the way. You should check it out. But if we go over to the resources one and we open that up, notice, oh, knowledge distillation is a methodology. Okay, it's not the one we wanted. So it made a mistake. So in other words, it saved the files outside of the resources, but then it's loading the wrong one. So all we're going to do is we're just going to click that. We're going to get rid of that. We did some preemptive striking there. And we're going to head and save it. Let's do another thing. Let's just type in resources. Let's see if it does any others that are a mistake. It did it again. See our data pack. So we're going to need to get rid of all of this stuff because it's using the wrong, it saved it all to the wrong directory. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Let's see if there's another resources. Okay, so that's the last of the resources. That saved us a lot of trouble. Okay, so you're welcome for that little tip. Let's go through this and now start to rock through it. So we're going to just hit play. Play doesn't mean anything for this text, but it's just going to move us forward. Okay, we're setting a variable. I wonder if that's an error. System P prompt. Let's, oh shit. Okay, let's, no, okay. That is the prompt it's using. Okay, I just want to make sure it didn't use a bad variable. Okay, so we're going to hit play. Okay, now for people who want to flex their money, feel free to try using the 400B5 model. Right, so that's a huge model. You would have to have like big machine. But again, Open Router, you get that. You can get one of those for free to use. So, okay, so now we're down here. It's going to load. It's going to go ahead and use the 8 one. Now it's going ahead. It's just importing, so nothing's going to happen here. That def, it's setting up a function for later use. Since we've defined it, we can now pass the entire file. Okay, so now it's going to pass our clean extracted text. It's going to do this one. Remember, this is where we deleted resources. If that resource has been here, it would have actually been under this folder. It would have been the wrong file. So we're good now. So let's go here, hit play. Okay, so we got some more errors. Good Lord. But it's actually loading, so maybe it's fine. Let's just let her ride. And oh wait, no, here we go. Runtime error. Okay, so good Lord. There's a lot of error here. Oh, here we go. So it's going to be the same issue that we had before. So we're going to have to go ahead and change the model size that it's using. So let's go back up here. And hold on just a second. Okay, and this was a real bear. So there was a lot of errors in here that we had to fix through Llama. So this actually right here is what you need. I'm going to go ahead. I'll put that in the descriptions. Where I'll throw it over on my blog over here, cognibuild.ai/blog. Okay, and you can find it over in here. But essentially, if you can if you can read what's in there, copy what's in there. And the main thing is this float. It said B float 16. You got to get rid of that. Okay, and you need to add in this. You just need to make sure everything looks like it does here. Okay, and then actually once you press play, it will go ahead and load these checkpoint shards. No error, and then it's going to put everything out to here. And then when we get to here, we're going to press it, and it's going to save it over here. And we're going to have a new file called a data pickle. All right, that sounds like some kind of Microsoft band or something like that. Data pickle. Okay, anyway. So we're going to now move to the next step. I'm in a little bit of awe because there was so much error in that code, but it is working now, and I think you'll be fine. So let's go through step 3 now. So in this one, we're going to go back. We're going to be using the same thing, the 8B. Okay, same thing. Going to set a new prompt for it. Here's all the same stuff. It's using the model. So let's just start rocking through this. Gonna hit the play, importing all this stuff. So nothing's actually happening. It's all just set up. Now it's gonna do something. Now it's gonna load the model. Okay, let's just go ahead and there it says B float 16. Let's just get rid of that float. Okay, the B, and let's see if that saves us some problems here. Oh, also remember that we need to check to make sure it's looking in the right folders for stuff, because remember it's been saving. Okay, so actually like over here we need to go back here. It said resources. It's going to use the wrong data pickle. See, it saved our data pickle here, so we need to get rid of that. And so we're going to have to go back through this again. We would have been using the wrong data. Let's see if there's anything else. There's this one, podcast ready. I don't see where it's creating that though. Okay, let's do a quick search to see if it generates this in this file. So that's the only one it is. I don't know. Okay, well, let's let her ride. Okay, so let's go back up here and restart this. Well, we can actually do this. We can click this and then do you want to restart the kernel? We'll go yes. Okay. So go here, do all this, do all this, do all this. Now we're using the right data pickle. Data pickle. Okay, and then we got rid of the B's. We're just using float 16. And let's see if that works. Going to load them checkpoint shards. Sitting here watching numbers. It's my favorite pastime. That and twiddling my thumbs and watching the paint dry. Okay. Oh, so my video over here is freaking out. I'm going to turn this off for just a second. It's competing for the resource. Okay. So actually it looked like that worked. So good. So now let's print the output generated text. Now it's going to save it under generated text. Now I'm kind of curious about this, but like I said, let her ride. And I don't see that that did anything. All right, well, what the hell? Let's go to our fourth workflow now and see what happens. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to look through here. Okay, Flash Attention 2 is not installed. That's fine. And now we're going to be using Bark and Parlor. So hopefully our requirements installed that for us. If not, we'll have to go install it. Let's go down here, see if there's anything going on that we need to be aware of. Okay, if it all works, we'll have some sound here. I want to know where this podcast ready data came from. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back. I want to go back through all of these and see if they were supposed to be created in here. Yeah, I don't see it. I just see the one. All right, let's let her go. All right, so let's go to the top. I don't see anything that needs to be changed. So we'll just go play, 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 play. Testing the audio generation. Okay, no module named Parlor TTS. Okay, so it did not install this for us. So we need to go ahead. We're going to copy this. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to our browser and we're just going to type PYPI Parlor TTS. Okay. I want to click this one, this GitHub one. And it should show us how to install it. Installation. Okay, you can directly try it out, interact over here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So you want to find the Parlor TTS GitHub thing. We're going to copy this. Now, this is a little bit of a pain in the butt. We're going to go back to our command prompt. And we're going to... well... I guess we're going to do it this way. Let's try it a different way. We're going to go over to our File Explorer. Okay. And we are looking for... oh, you know what? We did this in Conda. So actually, you know what? We're doing great. Let's just go ahead and do this. Let's go back to our command prompt. But I'm going to open up a new command prompt window. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, and I'd forgotten, this is the beauty of having used mini Conda. Let's just type Conda activate Llama recipes. Okay, so that's going to put us in our virtual environment. Great. Okay, so now what we can do, oh, we're still going to install it. So we need to get to a place where this can install. So, all right, a little bit of a bounce back and forth here. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to our File Explorer, okay? And we're going to go to where we installed this thing. Let's just go over here to our recipes, quick start, notebook Llama. Okay, now I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to right click. You can see over here. Sorry, I know this is getting a little bit confusing. My apologies. We're going to right click, go open in terminal. Now it's going to open us up here. directly in the folder. So now we can go ahead and we're going to go conda activate llama.recipes. Okay, so now we're in here. Now I'm going to just go ahead and paste this in. We're going to pip install from this directory. And it's going to install Parler TTS. Okay, I just wanted to make sure in case it's downloading stuff that it's not just putting it in any old file directory. So it's going to, yeah, see, it's because it's git cloning some stuff. So I just want to keep it all kind of in the main place. So we'll let that sit. I don't know how long this will take, but TTS stands for text to speech. And so this is what's going to actually convert the stuff. And notice over here, well, in this other one over here, we are actually still in the program. Where's that at? Yeah, so that's actually still our Jupyter Lab. So we haven't had to exit, but we just opened up this new browser, went into our virtual environment. So once it's done installing, now it's installed, we can just go back to our browser and actually just keep doing what we were doing before. Now, what we were going to have to do before was actually exit the program. I didn't want to do that. So let's try this again. Let's go back here and hit play. Okay, now it's fine. Flash Extension 2 is not installed, but notice it's not erroring on Parler because we installed it. Okay, so now let's go through here and do all this. Okay, so do we have an error or a warning? It says user warning. Okay. Okay, so that's just a warning. Notice it's loading the model safe tensors. So this is actually loading the models. Notice it's a 3.5 gig model. That's why it's taken so long. This is like when you are actually, you know, like when you're doing stuff, you're creating images or you're using face swapping. The first time that you run it, it takes forever, right? That's because it loads the model. Once it gets the model into the system, it goes a lot faster. So that's what it's doing right now. Whenever you see it say model.safe tensors like this, it's loading, okay? And so we will sit, okay, maybe I'll just pause this so you don't have to stare at me here for a few more seconds. Shave 30 seconds off the bill here, hold on. Okay, so you can see it's still loading on here. I'm gonna again turn off my video here so we're not competing. So notice it loaded all this other stuff. May expect unexpected behavior. So this is an error. Notice there's nothing that says error, so it's just outputting. So let's press play. I thought we were supposed to have a thing where we could see hear some of the audio. Oh, there it's that. Okay, so we'll press play here. It took away our hearing thing again. Oh, so but over here it's doing something. Well, let's keep going through. So we're just clicking through. And notice it's talking about oh, so here it's generating it. Okay. Well, that'll be interesting. We'll see. Okay, it saved it under resources. Let's see if it actually did. Yeah, I think it's still doing stuff up here. Oh, in fact, it is. So we launched through all of that, but it wasn't ready for it. So that happens a lot of these times. Like this Jupyter Labs are kind of confusing at times because sometimes you can't tell if it's working, and then you go click through everything, and then you come back, oh, it actually was doing something. Okay, now we've got a runtime error. It's CUDA error, invalid device, ordinal, so it's a numbering thing. CUDA errors might be asynchronously reported somebody recalls. Okay. Now, okay, so I fixed that error. I skipped out for a while because I'm going to tell you this Notebook 4 is a mess. Okay, I actually spent the last couple hours here with the video off, just cleaning this out because this has been a nightmare. Which one thing I'll tell you with open source, it's like they release stuff and it's like I guess they don't feel they have to release the best stuff because there's a lot of errors. So that issue that we were having there with the where it was saying the ordinate of the GPU has to do with the fact that they're using multiple GPUs and they didn't take that into account for us. So what we want to do is type Control F, and it's going to pop up this find box, and type in the word CUDA and then put a colon there. Okay, now just go ahead and enter. You're going to see these things where it says CUDA here, but I've already changed this, but these are going to say like CUDA 3 or CUDA 7, which means that they're using multiple GPUs, and they didn't we don't have multiple GPUs. So like if it says 3, that's assuming you have 4 GPUs, because 0 is the first one, and then 1, 2, 3, and 7th would be your 8th. So it's looking for GPUs we don't have. So you need to go through and change all of these to 0. Okay, they'll say CUDA 3 and they'll say CUDA 7. Okay, so go put those all to 0. Then that that error is going to go away. Okay, but then I had another error, okay, that you might get or might not. It shows that this is just kind of wonky. When you get down to this part, okay, I'm going to highlight this because we're going to come back here. When you get down to here, where's that at? Okay, you see podcast text. It's going to try to output the text to show you what's in your file here, okay? And then I got an error saying that there was a memory error. It couldn't load, it wasn't working, and it put me all the way up here to where we are importing this pickle file. And the pickle file is this one, this podcast ready data. That was the one I wasn't quite sure about. It gets made in step 3. My light just went out. Interesting. Gotta love that. Okay, hold on just one second. Okay, it's just going to be a little bit darker, but that's fine. Okay, so over here, it was low. It would go up here, and then you get a memory error. And the issue was that this file over here had an error in it, so they is missing a comma. So when it generated it with an error. Now the issue is that these pickle files are binary files, so you can't open them with a notepad, a text editor, or else you will corrupt it. So basically what I had to do was go back to step 3 and just redo I had to delete that pickle file and then just recreate it. Now there's ways that you can edit it, but it's a pain. I just redid it. So and that worked. Okay, so then we get down here, and then we get into a whole bunch of stuff that's just straight out missing. Okay, so first of all, you can get down here, and for whatever reason this import IO needs to be added again. Okay, it's at the top, but you're just going to have to type in import IO because you get an error that says no module. Then this wave file here is missing, so then you got to go type from sippy.io import wave file. Okay, then we got this one, this audio segment's gone. Okay, so then we have to from PyDub import audio segment. But here's the issue: PyDub is it's not installed in our requirements, so we have to go and do it by hand. So what we do is we go back over to our command prompt. Okay, we got to go conda. We just open a new one, go conda activate llama recipes. Okay, so it's going to open that up. Then we just got pip install PyDub. Okay, mine's already installed. Gosh, if I could spell it, that'd be nice. Okay, so it'll go through there, install it. Okay, then we can go back over to here, and and then everything will work. Okay, so there's so much stuff going on with this, and there might be other little things. You're going to have to use Chat GPT to figure it out, but I think that's pretty much everything. I'm going to have to upload this file for you. So then when you get it done, it goes through all this stuff, and it saves it. Now, what I did is down here it said resources. It had it like this. So again, I just went ahead and deleted that so that it would save it here in my main area, and it saved it to podcast.m3. Now, let me check here really quick. Resources. Yeah, okay, that one we left. So anyway, so then you get down there, and I want to tell you, it took a long time. This is a crazy project. Like, it's not a good project. Like, it's interesting, and I think the best part of this is that it's got some interesting features, but this running from start to ending, it takes like, I bet it takes somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes to get one podcast that's mediocre. And again, F5, you can, which is just a blatant open source thing, you can get it done pretty quick. And Google LLM, I mean, this isn't even anywhere. This is like high school basketball against Michael Jordan when it comes to comparing this to Google LLM. But, you know, whatever. It's got some interesting parts. We'll talk about it more here at the end. But let's go. So, whoo, we got it done. So let's click on over to our File Explorer, okay? And let's, we got movies and whatnot. Let's go over to our, what are we doing? Audio. Llama recipes, quick start, notebook Llama. Okay. Now, and then here's our podcast. And it's not even, it made a lot of mistakes. It actually it hallucinated on some stuff, but let's go ahead and play it.
Welcome back to Heart, folks. I'm your host, Carl Delaney, and today we're diving into the complexities of love, heartbreak, and relationships.
So this is based on my music, right?
A self-proclaimed hopeless romantic, and we're going to explore the highs and lows of love together. So let's start it. You've been through your fair share of breakups and makeups, and I'm curious to know, what do you think is the biggest?
I think people think it's all rainbows and butterflies, but like it's not. I mean, I've been
There's
down
a
this road
pretty
so many
funny
times
part
with
coming over
Laurel,
which is completely
and it's
hallucinating.
always the same intense love.
And she's
followed by
actually
intense
just
pain.
quoting my songs.
Yeah. It's actually a song by Matchbox 20.
So that's actually a song by Matchbox 20. So it's full on hallucinating. So again, with the other stuff, I could throw this in with Google LLM. I could throw this in there, and it's gonna. It's prompted well enough to know that it's actually talking about some other person's music. Now, maybe the issue is because we use the 8 billion model. That very well could be it. Because remember, they wanted us to use the 70 billion model, okay? And we used the 8 billion. So maybe the problem there is just a matter of not having a good enough model. So you see, it's interesting. There's good sound. The voices are good. They go you know. They're making some interesting noises. But it took forever to make that, and she hallucinated. Like, what's up with Matchbox 20? Like, and the other lady just started quoting the stuff as her own words. So, oh, what an adventure! It kind of, Llama came out with the, they came out with, what is it? Llama.cpp. They came out with their, or no, that was Torch that came out with their Llama.cpp stuff, and it was horrible. This is kind of similar in the sense that it's like, I don't know. I think what they've done here is that they've taken several components and they haven't made them good. They've just thrown them out there and said, here, do something with them. Okay, and I think that's why they made it open source. It's kind of like saying, it's not saying like it's garbage, but it's saying it's unpolished. We haven't done anything with it. It's the basics. Go out there and make it good yourself. Now, again, the voices are cool. If we could find a way to use their models and the way that they can and all that kind of stuff with your own voices, that would be cool. You could tie that into F5, but again, F5 is running its own thing. To be quite honest, F5 TTS is it's 10 times better than this. Okay, with the podcasting stuff, it makes the podcast transcripts in like seconds. This in step 2, when you're making your actual transcript, it takes like 15 minutes or more. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it locks down your computer. So this is interesting. It's not. It's a good one to play with, and they do have the ability to fine tune your own models if you want to go down that path. So you could look into that here. But as a standalone app, I'm gonna have to give her some thumbs down. I'm gonna give it a thumb. Interesting, but then on a practical level, it's just a thumbs down. I'll use F5 TTS all day long. I think what I'll probably end up doing with this is looking at the way, I kind of like the ideas of how they scrub the things 3 times. They send it into one model just to get a basic, then they send it into a larger model to flesh it out, and then they send it into a third one to kind of clean it up. And I think I might actually look into, with F5, doing that, like just saying, okay, well, let's maybe process it and get a little bit finer tuned stuff. But we're getting way, I guaranteed, run F5 TTS, the podcast stuff, you're gonna get way better podcast this than this. And you can also use whatever voice you want just by using the YouTube downloader. That's in the F5 TTS Plus, because with the normal F5 TTS, they've actually taken out the podcast stuff, but not in my version. Yo, you still got it. So, and it's going to be getting better because I am going to glean from this. But there you have it. Oh my God, whoo, right? Smoke them if you got them, because that was a heck of a journey. But we made it. We're still here. We're still standing. We still got our toes and our fingers, and whew. So, all right, we're going to end there. You guys have a good one. If you have any questions, you hit me up. I'm over on the Discord. You can find me on the YouTube. You can find me over on Reddit, okay? I am around and not difficult to get hold of if you want to. So, in the meanwhile, you guys stay good. We will catch up with you later as always. And see you on the other side.